Hi everyone, my name is Nijin. Uh, let's start with a thought experiment. Imagine you wake up one morning and India's oil import have basically stopped, not because of some domestic policy failure, but because of a 33-kilometer stretch of water on the other side of the world that we absolutely have no control over. That's a Strait of Hormuz, and that's a protagonist of today's video. And this scene stopped being hypothetical, and it's actually happening all around the world in 2026. As we all know, US-Iran war, where exposed global oil supply chain vulnerabilities. Now, let's look at this block, this Hormuz Strait. How is it actually affecting? This choke point is affecting our economy, India's economy. So let's look at this Gulf map where why is it actually so important? All the Gulf oil producing Gulf states like Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, all of them are actually landlocked, and there is only a narrow exit at the southern end, that's Hormuz. And this is actually mostly controlled by Iran's fleet and army. And through this gap flows 20 million barrels of oil per day. That's roughly one in every 5 barrels oil traded anywhere in Earth. Not just India's oil, Japan, China, South Korea have dependency of oil on this particular passage. Now, looking at India's energy anatomy, 88% of our crude oil we import. And it's actually half of this is passing through this Strait of Hormuz. And it's not just crude, also LNG, that is liquefied natural gas, which powers our fertilizer plants, heavy industry, which comes into LPG scene. All of them is actually dependent on this particular strait. India is the world's third largest importer of crude oil, which accounts to 5.5 million barrels per day. Our annual energy import bill sits around $220 billion. Now, we have a petroleum reserve which gives 50 days of cover. But the International Energy Agency, IEA's benchmark is 90 days minimum. Now let's look at the other historical record. How is the conflicts in those particular area? That area is particularly vulnerable to many conflicts, starting from 1973 Arab oil embargo, which removed almost 6% of global oil supply after Yom Kippur War, coming down to Gulf War One in 1990, where Iraq invaded Kuwait and 6% supply shock again affected. Also, India got into balance of payment crisis at that point, and we nearly defaulted. An emergency IMF intervention was necessary at that point of time. Now coming fast forward to 2026, US Israeli strikes on Iran, and IRGC is actually controlling the Hormuz Strait. We are in particular not into the particular enemy radar as of now, and they're allowing small amount of Indian crude oil tankers, but that's not enough for us. Now let's look at the like 2026 shock, where $82 a barrel before the crisis shot up to $106 within just a few days. LNG freight rate jumped 40% almost immediately. War risk premium for these ships in Gulf region almost doubled. And rupee came under immediate pressure because of all this. Markets were pricing in the exchange rate crossing $95, which is the historical low for us. This shortage also actually can spill over to other like prices, causing stagflation. They can feed into food prices, transport costs, industrial inputs. It can leak into other sectors in short amount of time. This is the worst possible combination, macro combination for a developing economy like India. And now let's look at why is India resisting any hard action on what is the economic and political concern here. Now, if you look at there is a structural interdependency task trap which India is in Gulf regions, India to Gulf regions. That is, India have roughly 9 million workers in Gulf states. That is causing like a huge 45 billion years of remittance, and that is actually causing a huge leverage for Gulf state. This oil is huge leverage for them and labor supply for us. And this is actually quite concerning as of now. Now looking at the like three solutions that we can propose to it. One is building up the strategic reserves from 50 days to 90 days of cover like IEA suggests. Then for another thing is transforming to renewable energy and cutting the oil dependency on Hormuz Strait and Gulf Stream. Then diversify supply. India sources from like Gulf mostly and other 40 sources, which is okay. But we need to actually look at how to reduce the share of hormones in the future. Thank you.